At this point, we've got a choice between two equally optimal routes. You can either go to rescue Colbor now, and then do the two factory stages, or you can do the factories first, and then Colbor. You can't put Colbor in between the other two, though. That'd be silly. I prefer to go to rescue Colbor first, just because I find the factory stages relatively relaxing and consistent, so that's a nice breather before Neo Arcadia. Get the tough one out of the way earlier. This stage is really quick and simple, but it is a bit challenging, especially towards the end. Also dangerous. So we just get a really long horizontal section here. And then there's some pantheons here. It's possible to get through without killing any of them if you land right between these two, but it's kind of tricky. I normally just kill the further forward one for consistency's sake. You can clear that turtle entirely without destroying the turret, as usual. Same with this one, but this jump is kind of tricky since you have to land right on this little corner. So let's look at that a bit closer. So one thing we can do is jump over him without destroying the turret, which is probably the optimal with perfect movement, but it's kind of tricky. And to do it optimally, you really need to have good timing on when you're moving forwards and when you're not. So you have to stop for a little bit as you're landing here, and for a bit after you jump, or else you'll always hit the piece on the top. Alternatively, you can get through without stopping at all if you destroy the turret. Though again, this is really tricky. In fact, I would only go for this in an IL. You have to just barely land on that corner and have really good timing on your re-jump as you hit it. And make sure you attack right as you jump. The most consistent approach is kind of in between, where you will pause for a moment and destroy the turret. That's normally what I'll go for in runs. You only need to pause for a few frames in order to make it a lot easier than going full speed. It's also easier than trying to clear the turret entirely, which requires a more precise positioning with your landing. After the turtle, there's that guy to kill. He's not a problem though. Here things get kind of tricky. You need to land on the far right side of this spinning thing, and then jump really close to the edge of this platform if you want to make it up onto this next one without doing any wall kicks. This next section is especially tricky. We're going to need some very specific platforming in order to get through it optimally. On this coming up platform, there's a specific spot we want to be doing a full hop from. The visual cue I use is halfway between these two dark marks in the background. When zero's around that area, I'll do my full hop. And I start an extended jump slash to kill this Pantheon as I get to him. Mostly because I don't want to have to time the attack while I'm worrying about my movement, which, like I said, is pretty tricky in this spot. So just holding the extended jump slash out lets me not even have to worry about it. And then as you're landing on here, you want to do a dash jump off it as soon as you land, with another extended jump slash to take out this guy. And you'll be able to make it on top of this platform before it gets out of range. That's the hard part. After this, it's relatively easy. You just dash off that. Don't jump. You'll land on the edge of this one. Jump up to this. Do one wall jump. Full hop. And then you can wall jump or regular jump off of that platform, depending on if you land on it. If you miss the jump off of that second to last platform, it's not a huge deal. You'll end up hitting the side of this wall that I landed on, which it'll cost you a lot of time, but compared to other mistakes you can make in this section, which generally result in immediate death, that's not too bad. Let's look at the most common way of messing it up. So, if something's not quite right, like you've gone a bit slow or you are a bit too far to the right when you jumped off that last platform, you won't make it up. Sometimes it'll really look like you should, but you won't anyways, and you start sliding on this wall. The optimal reaction is to see that that's happening and start wall kicking to get on top of it. And from there, the best way to proceed is to just have a good sense of the spacing between these platforms and just jump in between them like that. They'll all be in places where you'll be able to reach, you just won't be able to see them ahead of time. At least not always. If you don't react fast enough to the fact that you didn't make it up onto that next platform, and you fall off of it, you can just barely make it over to this platform down here if you go left as soon as you start falling. And then attack it, and it'll start carrying you across. Super slow, but beats dying. By the way, if you don't make the jump across here, like if you have to wall jump up on that, then don't go for the early platform cycles. They won't be in the right spot. Here's my best strats for Harpooia. So at the start of the fight, we move forward a bit, and then you have to wait for him to fly down in range. And then we jump up, hit him with a spin. Don't give full invincibility. So that means don't attack too early or too late. You've got to time it right. It's not too tough, but could take some getting used to. And then we go up against the wall, turn and face him, and attack him repeatedly. Technically, you don't actually need to turn to face him. You could just look at the right side of the wall while you attack. There are a couple disadvantages, though. Most notably, if you attack a little bit too fast and get the second hit of your combo, it won't hit Harpooia if you're facing to the right, whereas it will if you're facing left. We'll get hit once, and again when he flies up, and then we jump up and knock him down to the right again. So you need to wait for him to go up a bit and then down. And if you've got him down to 4 health at the end, you can just end the fight like that without having to bring him down again. Which is the best you can do with a really good rhythm. It's important to hit him down and to the right, so we run to the left a bit and then jump up as he's coming down and attack. Just because if you push him into the middle of the room, it gets a lot harder to space things properly and he moves around a lot more, so it'll just throw things off and it's a huge pain. If you didn't have him low enough to finish with a jump slash like that, you would just repeat it. Knock him down and then attack him until he's done. This strat is a little slower, but it does have the advantage in that you won't take as much damage during the battle. So if that's a problem for you, like if you're dying to Harpooya, this could be a good alternative for you. Starts out the same, except instead we wait to the left of him for a while and then jump over. So he starts attacking to the left while we're on the right side, which means he'll only hit us once per cycle instead of twice. In my experience, turning and facing him is more trouble than it's worth with this setup, just because you want to start attacking as soon as possible. With the other method, you have time while you're waiting for him to fall that you can use to turn around. You'll also want to stop holding your shield when you use this strat in between the cycles, just so it's easier to do the dash jump over him. A good time to stop holding the shield is while you're being damaged. That way you don't accidentally throw the shield, which would be a huge pain. Not only is the animation slow, but if it hits him, it would give full invincibility without doing any substantial damage. So you'll see I only went through like half of my health bar, whereas the more optimal method takes like 3/4 or so. Here's a demonstration of how I would approach the fight if I accidentally pushed them to the left instead of the right with the first attack. I would generally go with the method of getting on the far side of him and attacking, as opposed to standing in front and attacking, because if you're not up against the wall, when you get hit you'll be pushed away from him if you use the other method. So wait for a bit after he lands. Well, wait until he's about to land and then jump over him so he attacks the other way. And then we want to gradually move him towards the wall. So he's going to fly quite a ways to the left, and we'll push him even further. And then we can just do the fight like normal now that he's over here. .29 is just barely possible on the stage with really smooth movement, but since it's such a short stage and it's a lot of fun to do fast, I would definitely recommend going for that IL. It's a good one.